Hi, I'm John Bair, and tonight, let's unwind with a little story about an all-American legend from the frontier named Johnny Appleseed by Josephine Scribner Gates. Now, kick back, relax, and let's begin. Once there was a man who was very, very poor. He had been a farmer, and no one raised such fine crops as he did. By and by, in some way, he lost his farm and was left all alone. He had always wanted to do something grand, something that would make many people happy. But what could he do? He had no money. All he had was a small boat. As he trudged along one day, he saw some old sacks lying under a tree. As he looked at them, he had a splendid thought. A thought that seemed to have wings and came flying from far away. Oh, it was a beautiful thought, and seemed to be singing a little song in his heart. As he picked up the sacks and placed them in his boat, he jumped in himself and floated away. As he rowed down the stream, the man watched the shore with keen eyes. When he saw an apple orchard, he rowed to land, tied his boat, and hastened to the homes near the orchards and asked for work. He cut wood, carried water, and did all sorts of odd chores. In payment for this work, he asked for food, and what else do you suppose? Well, the people were so surprised at what he asked, for they could hardly believe him. He asked that he might have the seeds from the apples on the ground under the trees, and only the seeds. Of course, they gladly gave him such a simple thing, and as he cut the fruit, the neighborhood children would swarm about him. From one place to another he went, always adding to his store of seeds. Some generous farmers also gave him cuttings of peach, pear, and even some plum trees. Others gave him cuttings of grapevines. Day after day, day after day, he cut up the fruit while the children sat at his feet and listened to thrilling tales of what he had seen in his travels, of the Indians with their blankets and feathers, with their camps where they had lived in the forests, of their dances and war paint, their many-colored beaded necklaces and jingling silver chains and bracelets, of the wolves which came out at night to watch him as he sat by his fire, of the beautiful deer who had ran across his path. He sang funny songs for the children and taught them all sorts of games. When it came time to go on, they begged him to stay. Never before had they been so amused, but on he went. And when his bags were full, and he had a goodly store of food, he started on to carry out the splendid thought. Oh, it was a grand thing he was going to do. The little boat went on, till houses were no more to be seen. Splendid forests lined the banks here and there, and then he paused. For this was what he was seeking, a place where no one lived. He landed and went about with a bag of seeds. And when he reached an open place in a forest, he planted seeds and cuttings of the trees and vines, then wove a brush fence to keep the deer away. He then hastened back to his boat and drifted on. In many, many places he landed and planted seeds, and all the orchards of the Ohio and Mississippi Valley we owe to this man. Years after, when settlers came looking for a place to live, they chose these spots where, to their great surprise, they found all sorts of trees loaded with fruit. This man's name was John Chapman, but he was also nicknamed Johnny Appleseed. Thanks for listening, and rest easy, folks.